Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the podcast Strikes Back. My name is George, and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boys Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Do we have a show for you today? Quite DC orientated. We've got a little bit of an update with some Suicide Squad cast updates, as well as Andy Muscietti coming in with some updates on the Flash movie that he's going to be helming. And of course, we have to talk about Joker. Everyone's been talking about that. And Terminator Dark Fate, question of the week later on. It's going to be awesome. But before we get into the news, what do we like to do? We like to catch up on what everyone's been watching. And I'm going to go first. Fuck you guys.
Slightly Scottish there again?
Oh, yeah.
I caught up with it.
Where have we been?
Accent.
I've watched nothing this week other than It Chapter 2. Go check out our review.
Glad we sped right into that one.
Yeah. All I've watched is the new Dave Chappelle stand-up. But I
What'd
don't
you think
like...
of that?
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very new to Dave Chappelle.
Really?
No.
Did you watch the Chappelle show?
No.
Okay.
I've retroactively this year watched some clips. Like, you saw the GTA thing. There were some iconic things that everyone saw when it was big at the time. But this guy is just incredible in terms of his comedic timing and the way he loops back on jokes and brings things in.
Did you watch his previous Netflix?
Yeah, I've watched them all now.
Yeah, they're like the two that he came back on were spectacular. I
Awesome.
thought they were great. Yeah.
Killer. So not much more to say than some good content. And actually, the one thing I will say is I think it's interesting that I think Netflix have actually carved out a name in this stand-up comedy thing, and it's something that I watch a lot of stand-up comedy because of Netflix.
Yeah. Oh, they have brought it really kind of to the forefront. And that's a bit of a double-edged sword because you get a lot of really good acts like Dave Chappelle and that, but you also get some real stinkers. And they're just kind of giving out these specials to absolutely anyone and everyone that wants one, it seems. And I didn't really watch. I watched about a quarter of Ken Jeong's stand-up, and that was awful.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of that.
Really bad.
Yeah.
And I like him.
But he's big.
He's big, and I like him, but he's not good at stand-up.
Yeah, it's stand-up. It's its own art.
Yeah,
it's not just comedy acting, on-screen acting. It's a different ball game.
He's got that kind. He's got really good comedic, energy on film. It doesn't really translate well to on the stage, which is a shame.
And I hear he's a great GP as well.
Aziz Ansari had that massively hyped up special for Netflix when they first got into that original comedy game, and that was so average.
Did you see his new one?
No.
I really didn't like the way that was shot, and I turned it off.
The new one? Really? I liked it.
It's like on set, and there's like this dude like literally in his face, like shooting like up here, and I'm like, this is very I feel like it's too intimate. Like the thing with
the whole thing was super intimate, and I reckon go back to it. It was really interesting. It was. I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't love the way it was shot.
Just quickly, Georgia, you say you watch a lot of stand-up on Netflix. Is that just incidental, or is that an actual selling point for you on there?
Yeah, it's definitely. I will stay on Netflix if they continue to pump out. There's a lot of garbage. You have to sift through the stand-up.
But you find some absolute gems in there.
And that Dave Chappelle one was awesome. And sometimes these sort of collaboration ones they do where sort of 6 comedians do sort of 15 minutes each. They can be quite fun, and you get a little bit of variety there.
Yeah. It's giving, I think that will be a really good way for up and coming comics to be found and to like, I mean, they get the big acts as well, like Gabriel Iglesias. They've got all his backlog in there and all that kind of stuff. But it's a good spot for kind of up and coming and comics that you probably wouldn't have found otherwise. I mean, comedy specials to me used to be really inaccessible. Like you'd have to get the HBO.
Yeah, to have Showtime.
Yeah, and that or you're pumped.
The DVDs back in the day, I've got a bunch of old DVDs from that stuff.
And YouTube was the next go-to, but that was dicey at best.
I actually just remembered I also watched Ali Wong's Baby Cobra for the second time.
So good.
Oh.
She is hilarious, man. I absolutely love her. And I really liked her movie that she did. Keanu Reeves was in. That was fun. That
With
Netflix one.
The guy from
Super
Fresh Off the Boat.
Bubblegum, like, chick flick, Friday night chill. But, I love those kind of movies.
Can you remember the guy's name? I always forget him. His name. What is it?
Aziz Ansari.
No.
I know I'm capable of remembering it. I don't.
Yeah,
have
you
it
just
on
don't
me
know
right
who I'm
now,
talking about.
I possess the ability to remember names.
My go-to name
No,
guy is...
it's the guy from Fresh Off the Boat. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you been watching, Benny?
So I checked out a bunch of cool stuff this week. I watched the new film from S. Craig Zala, the director of Bone Tomahawk and the other one,
Cell Block.
Brawl in Cell Block 99.
Yeah, that's
Thank
the
you.
Connor,
I know, right? Can we just take a moment to appreciate what just
said a
happened?
word.
I remembered something that Ben couldn't.
So this is Dragged Across Concrete, starring Mel Gibson and Vince Vaughn. It's kind of a crooked cop story. It's like 2 hours 40 minutes long. It's rated R18 in Australia, a very well-earned hard R that S. Craig Zala always likes to deliver. This director is so fascinating to me. I cannot work out his politics, and I think a lot of people would find the stuff that he puts on screen, regardless of whether he's actually endorsing it or whether it's just his characters, absolutely repugnant. And the sheer fact that he's using actors like Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson, I think, would be a big turn-off for a lot of people as well. But his movies are amazing, and this one's no exception.
Was Vince Vaughn caught up in all this shit? Is he a bad person?
No. Apparently, he's just a bit more of a right-leaning Hollywood figure.
I was like, oh, come on, man.
And yeah, people kind of describe his movies as sort of Tarantino-esque, which I do get as a comparison, but I think he's really his own thing.
He's a lot more brutal than Tarantino.
Yeah.
But Tarantino's known for his violence, but it's quite stylized.
Yes, yeah.
It's entertaining.
Whereas Zala's really making these crazy modern exploitation films with just these bursts of crazy intense violence.
I haven't been able to bring myself to watch any of his films yet.
I highly recommend.
Like big, and then everyone says that. I highly recommend. It's really brutal. I'm just kind of like, is that a ride that I want to go on?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Because I was kind of similar going into some of them, but there's nothing in there that's, I don't know, going to keep you up at night or anything. But I couldn't believe this one, Dragged Across Concrete, felt like a 90-minute film in the best way possible, and it was 2 hours 40. It just flew by. It's so engaging. His dialogue is fantastic. His characters are so watchable. Again, very murky in terms of, I don't know what he's trying to say, maybe, but but just really cool stuff.
I mean, I feel like it's almost a statement in and of itself hiring Mel Gibson now, because he was like,
totally.
Even before the Me Too movement started like knocking people left, right, and center in Hollywood, he was like the villain.
He was proto Me Too. Like he was so far before all of
he
this.
He was like 2004 Me Too.
Yeah, he was crazy, and just the outright disgusting things that he said. I think it feels like he's making a statement by just like hiring him. It's weird.
And without casting any kind of commentary on Mel Gibson as a person, he is so watchable as an actor still.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic in
That's
this
the
one
problem,
as well.
right? You're watching and be like, I don't know, like, should I be enjoying this?
Vince Vaughn as well has done so few movies of actual worth in his career. It's so cool to see him.
Vincey.
Wedding Crashers.
Basketball.
It's so good.
Dodgeball, sorry.
It's so good to see him working with someone who actually uses him as an actor.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I really recommend that one if you have the stomach for it. I also watched one that I really think you should check out, George. The Endless. It's from this really indie directing duo, Benson and Moorhead. I think you would appreciate the hell out of what they can do in terms of genre filmmaking with clearly no budget.
Can I name my next band Benson and Moorhead?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, can I be Benson?
Science fiction horror film.
I mentioned these guys within the last year, a movie I watched of theirs, Spring, which was a really cool sci-fi horror as well that defied genre so hard. It just went in directions you would never expect. And this is another one very similar to that. Really cool kind of mystery UFO cult story with some kind of Lovecraftian overtones.
Sick, man.
And some huge, interesting sci-fi ideas.
Ooh.
And again, on no budget, but I really would love to hear what you think of this movie.
I'm dialing this in this week.
Yeah, it's very cool. Unfortunately, I could only find it in standard definition on YouTube, but
okay.
Still really cool stuff. And these
Not
guys...
on iTunes?
I didn't look. I can just go through my TV. But these guys... They've made 3 or 4 movies, and they're clearly getting a lot of offers from the big studios. These guys are so primed for someone like Marvel to snap up, but they're not doing it, which I really love. They keep kind of independently funding their films, yeah, and just doing their own thing. But really, guys, to keep an eye on.
Oh, dude. It's here.
Oh.
I've got it on iTunes.
Very good.
Full def. Nice.
I also watched season 5 of, this is a bit of a pivot, Schitt's Creek on Netflix.
Really?
No offense, Connor, this is easily my favorite Canadian thing ever.
Yeah, no, fair. I've seen that come up a couple of times recently.
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone here
And
knew about it.
It looks awful, right?
What is this?
Schitt's Creek, starring Eugene Levy from the American Pie series, the father.
He's hilarious.
It looks awful. Every time you see it, it looks like a joke, like a fake sitcom.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I watched it one day a few years ago, and fell in love instantly. Like it maybe starts a little slow. There's some kind of lame jokes in there, but once it gets going, once you start to get to know the characters, you fall in complete love. And I think it's one of the best sitcoms ever made, and it maintains the strength of its comedy and its characters, if not improves it all the way through. There's one more final season coming up, and I'm very excited.
I absolutely love that you even know what Schitt's Creek is. That's I'm thrilled. As the resident Canadian, I'm just there's a huge swell of pride and nationalism.
Joy in his face. I haven't seen you that happy in years.
Highly recommend to anyone who likes that kind of Parks and Rec sort of oddball comedy. And this one will link straight into you, Connor. I watched the first episode of Netflix's Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
And I'll let you take it from
here. That does kind of segue very nicely into what I've watched this week, which is Dave Chappelle. No, sorry.
The whole season.
I watched the whole season of Dark Crystal,
which was a lot heftier than I expected it to be. The first episode's over an hour long, and there's 10 of them.
You watched the whole seain?
Whole season.
Whoa!
You know how this guy operates. Come on.
Like if I like a season, I will jump into it head first. Also my fiance is in a different state this week, so I was like, I've got a lot of extra time.
10 times more of this show than we have.
Yeah.
Congratulations on fiance. Woo!
We
announced that last week, George.
Get over it, George.
Gloss over it.
Bit of background. I've never watched The Dark Crystal. I am a huge Jim Henson fan. In that I love the Muppets, and that was a big part of my childhood. But
you haven't seen The Dark Crystal, man. How can you call yourself a Jim Henson fan?
It's something that just I don't know. I don't know how I just kind of completely overlooked this.
I think growing up legally, you're only allowed to have watched either The Labyrinth or The Dark Crystal. I don't think you can
choose your
choose
destiny.
Wisely. Yeah,
and when Bowie's involved, there's only one decision.
So I came into this completely fresh, other than knowing that Dark Crystal is kind of held up there as, the pinnacle of puppetry in the zeitgeist.
That could be your band after
that
one, Pinnacle of Puppetry.
Yeah, we're coming up with some really good
got that prog rock Frank Zappa style.
And I've got to say, the first episode of this season really struck me as kind of sort of amazing in what they were able to do with a complete puppetry-esque world, and it really highlighted how good the puppets look when you got to see some CGI that was a little bit wonky, but used sparingly enough that I was really impressed. The design in this was spectacular. The look, the writing was a bit, particularly in that first episode, a little bit, kind of clunky.
Very setting up a lot of characters and a lot of world.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's lines like, why don't we dream fast now? Like share our memories. You're like, okay, well, hopefully that kind of stuff stops now that I understand what the mechanics of this world are. And for the most part, after that first episode, those kind of cringeworthy lines tend to die off. It was either that or I just became used to them. If you're watching episodes in quick succession, you just kind of get in that mindset. But the more I watched of this, the more that a comparison that I would later find out was the one that everyone was making kind of came to light, which was that this is just Game of Thrones with puppets. And they brought in some fairly dark themes, but also just some kind of themes that were far more complex than I expected to find in, a puppet show.
Sounds like they've really expanded upon that world.
It's a lot denser than the original.
It seemed very thin
Well,
in the original film.
I mean, I didn't realize how much they had expanded until after I had watched the series. I ended up watching the original. And for anyone that's wondering, that is the wrong order to watch it in, because there is nothing more disappointing than going from this like 10 episode hour-long series of this world that is like really well thought out, that looks beautiful, and then to go to something like I can't wait to see what inspired this. I can't to see what is often touted as like the pinnacle of puppetry. And you know, Dark Crystal is just okay.
No one's ever actually seen the ending because you always fall asleep around like the 60-minute mark.
Like it's kind of bizarre, right? Like the plot is really simplistic. The puppetry for the time would have been spectacular, and the feat, when you actually think about what they achieved, is spectacular. But
that main dude
today,
is freaky, bro.
Yeah, man.
That dude gives me nightmares. That little elfling or whatever the hell.
Gelfling, yeah. I mean,
man.
By today's standard, it's wonky,
That's
man.
wrong.
I like how I'm trying to be like diplomatic, be like, I know that this is really precious to some people, and you're like, fuck that.
I'm
burn in hell, Gelfling.
I'm prime for this, I reckon.
Oh man, I think you will absolutely love it. Like it you cannot forget that this is, you know, somewhat. It's still puppetry, so you're not like it's not. I don't know. It's still like I want to say it's a kids film, but it's not a kids or a kids series. It's not for kids. It doesn't feel like it's for kids. It very much feels like it's for people like us, but that it's not. You know, it isn't Game of Thrones, right? I don't know how to describe it. It's a very kind of niche.
Without spoiling it all, it was touted as a prequel series. Is it a true prequel to the movie? Like, does it kind of connect? Because I got the sense that it was like a remix or a reimagining or something. Like just from watching the first episode.
It works as a prequel.
It works as a prequel? Okay.
And I think that they did an absolutely fantastic job in terms of integrating into the world that had already been set out.
Nice.
Now, it hadn't really been set out very concretely in the
There's a lot of room
movie.
for adding more.
They could have, like, there's so much that they could have done. And I think there's a couple of things like with timeline that doesn't feel like it perfectly syncs up. But in terms of what they've done with it and where they've gone, I think it was really, really well done. There are a couple of things that I want to, or not that I want to, but I was trying to figure out whether they did match, like in terms of the Skeksis. But, you know, for the main characters, it's spot on.
Nice.
Just picturing you sitting there huddled over your laptop, just like,
Yeah.
Is there room for series 2?
Yep. They have done a really good job of picking a point in time that is, you know,
between episode 6
close
and
enough,
episode 7.
that is close enough that it is relevant to the movie, but also that it is far enough that you could have another season or 2 in there, depending on what they do with it.
Hopefully it does well.
Yeah, it's by definition it's going to be depressing as fuck, but you know, because the Dark Crystal doesn't start off in a good place.
No, I'm really, really, really excited to check this out for myself.
I'm not sure I'm ever going to get through it, but I'm glad they're doing it.
Is each episode an hour?
Yeah, it's hefty, man.
42 an hour, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hefty, but I was hooked.
That's cool.
I was just really interested by this world that they were creating, and it gets Ben. I think that you should stick with it because it gets more and more intense, and like the kind of the political intrigue, which is way more than I expected it to be. Like there's like genuine. It feels like the first season of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I was just thinking like it did feel a lot more that old style Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
a nice kind of palate cleanser after the last season.
What's holding you back?
I just wasn't blown away by the first episode, other than how it looked. But with these really kind of dense fantasy tales, you got to kind of give them some time. So
yeah,
I'm just not good at committing to things.
Yeah.
Shall we talk some news?
Let's do it.
Alrighty.
I've got 2 more.
No, too bad.
Okay,
Your time's up. All right, what do you got?
I'll go through them really quickly. I ended up watching Frankenstein Monster, whatever.
I watched half of that.
David Harbour.
Yeah, fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's short, way shorter than I thought it was going to be.
So this is a short film about his father or something?
I didn't love it, man.
It's like a mockumentary like bizarro,
It's super absurdist.
kind of stuff. I
And I normally love absurdist comedy.
So
but
do
this
I.
one was just
I
didn't seem
watched
to have
it
a point.
for the kind of the acting and the like. I loved David Harbour in this, and he is worth watching. The overall, like, I ended up finishing it and going, I'm not sure why I just watched that.
I
I'm
was
not sure what
I'm
I've
actually
gotten out
done
of it.
here. Halfway through, I was like,
Oh,
I'm done
really?
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
I don't know. Maybe I didn't have anything else to do at the time, but like I got through it. It wasn't very long.
David Harbour must be a great negotiator with Netflix.
Fuck knows how he sorted this out, because I don't even know what the brief of this is. It is, if the trailer was bizarre, the actual thing is like twice as
The trailer's
bizarre.
way better than the end product.
Because it's short.
Yes.
It's shorter. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on.
So, first up, Ben Wheatley, the director of High Rise, A Field in England and Free Fire, has signed on to direct a sequel to 2018's Tomb Raider, starring Alicia Vikander. Now, that's set for a March 2021 release.
You saw Tomb Raider 1 and you quite liked it.
I did.
So did I.
I thought it was
Did
one.
you? Oh, you saw it on the plane, didn't
I
you?
saw it on the plane, and I was pleasantly surprised by that film.
Yeah, I thought it, as like if we're talking in the context of video game movies, I thought it was well up there, like completely competent, which is a masterpiece in those terms. And I thought Vikander was a terrific Lara Croft, or at least has the potential to be.
Yeah.
The main point of interest in this story is that they've gotten one of the most out there, darkest directors kind of working in the indie scene right now to sign on for a franchise sequel movie.
Yeah. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very strange, and I remember thinking that I would very happily watch a sequel to that movie because I think there was potential there. Now I'm like, okay, I'm very interested to see what they do with this.
I'm always interested that I was reading some comments online about people saying that he kind of like sold out type thing. And I've always thought that that's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard, because if someone puts a big fat check in front of you, I mean, a lot of these people will go and they'll do a big movie and then they can fund 3 more, projects that are close to them in that.
Which is not this guy though. So it's very interesting to see because
it hasn't been, but I mean,
no, totally. But yeah,
right
that's
up
what I'm
until
saying.
you get
Up to
that
this
check.
point, but I can't imagine they've offered him too much for Tomb Raider 2. That movie is not a smash hit.
It'd be more than what he's getting for the other ones. Yeah,
Totally.
for sure.
But I do like to believe that just given this guy's trajectory so far, that he must have seen something interesting in this project.
Or feels that he could bring something interesting to it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the previous director, who I suspect was an orc, Roa Uthaug, was also an interesting guy. And I think he was able to sneak some of that legitimate artistry into that film. Very little of it, but...
Have you seen any of these films? Because I haven't seen any of them.
You've seen Kill List, I think it's called.
was that him?
That was him as well.
Oh, that's the only one I've seen.
Yeah, he's a fucked up dude.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen High
He's
Rise
bizarre. How
earlier
was
this
that?
year and Free Fire. High Rise was very strange, very hard to understand, entirely allegorical, but very interesting.
Okay.
And it had Tom Hiddleston in it, so it was 10 out of 10.
Kill List was really dark, very
Kill List hits?
nihilistic.
Yeah, probably the most unpleasant characters I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah, I can't say I loved it. Can't say I liked it.
Yeah,
What can you say?
I haven't loved any of his movies, but they're all very interesting and worth watching.
It'll be like I love seeing that jump when a director gets a little bit more budget. I think this is actually a really good move because sometimes they go from $10 million film to $200 million. This is probably going to be more like that 60 million, 80 million, like somewhere in that middle ground. Let's see if he can bring something new to the table because he seems like a guy that wants to put his stamp on things and like wants to have his signature on it.
Yeah.
So what can he do within the sandbox of Tomb Raider?
Yeah, I really don't think that he's going to release some weird, compromised, whitewashed movie. I think either he's going to really give this a go or he's going to leave due to creative differences in the next few weeks.
And that's a tough line to walk when you're like just a franchise alone. But if you're talking about like a video game franchise, then that's a really tough line to walk. Because at some point they're just going to be like, if you change it too much, it's no longer relevant to the original IP. And what's the point then?
Alrighty, next up. We have not talked about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad in a while because it's just been kind of this slow trickle of information coming out. But I felt like it's kind of built up to a point this week with the cast shaping up.
Yeah.
That we just got to talk about it because it's kind of ridiculous who they keep signing on. Obviously, we talked about Idris Elba and a bunch of returning characters being on for a while now. But recently, in these past few weeks, they've signed on Nathan Fillion, Flula Borg, the German YouTuber, who I love, Taika Waititi, who people seem to like a lot, former Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi, and Pete Davidson.
I love how much you've cooled on Taika Waititi.
No, I haven't at all. I just, he's one of those internet darlings at this point.
It's like Keanu Reeves was last month's flavor.
Yeah.
This month's flavor is...
It's all very cute. But that is an amazing group of actors, and I can't wait to see them get their head
Very
blown off.
diverse from a lot of different sects. You know, you sort of got TV, British TV, and Peter Capaldi. You've got American TV and whatnot. It's just like it's what TD as well. He's such a big star. You know, I like the diversity they bring in here.
Also, just quickly, Flula Borg. I feel like some people might be too young. I feel like he was an older internet guy, but just look up Flula Borg's Party Pooper video.
Party Pooper as well as Rock, Paper, Scissors.
Yeah.
Rock, Paper, Scissors was the one that always that got me.
He's so funny. And Peter Capaldi, who most people would recognize as the previous Doctor Who.
Yeah.
If you've never seen his previous work in The Thick of It, a British TV show, he's the most eloquent, filthy swearer to have ever existed on TV. His diatribes on that show are the most hilarious, just brazenly disgusting things you'll ever hear. And I really hope they put him to that kind of use in this movie.
Oh, good. Excellent. Yeah.
I mean, you're a Firefly guy, right? Are you pumped for some Fillion?
I always like seeing Fillion. He does feel like that kind of high school jock that never quite got out of high school in that, like, he talks about, or he is like so associated with that, Malcolm Reynolds character.
You can't escape it.
That everything he goes into, like Castle, which was a big series that he did, is just riddled with Firefly references. Which I really like. Like it's I'm such a sucker for that. But
he does a lot of kind of low heft TV work. I have a very strong feeling he's going to be playing like some C-list hero character who's going to be trying to thwart these Suicide Squad guys, like Captain Hammer or something.
God damn you! I was about to mention that because you've seen the
what's it called?
Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, I think it is.
So
have you seen that, George?
Is that the Josh Whedon?
Yeah.
Whedon?
Which they did during the writer's strike.
Yeah. No, I haven't, but I've heard only good things.
You would definitely not like it, George.
Yeah.
I think I would love it more than anyone ever.
So how are you guys feeling about this weird Suicide Squad sequel?
Well, I've also heard... Okay, well, let's talk about this. I'm feeling weird because James Gunn's also coming back for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, like, how much is he focusing on this? How much is he focusing on that? What is he... Yeah, it's all about focus, really. And I really loved it when his slate was clean and he was away from Marvel and it was kind of like, all right, here's Suicide Squad. It's going to kind of be his fuck you
exactly
to Marvel. And now
it's not going to be that.
It's not going to be that. So it makes me a little less interested in the project.
I would have liked to see James Gunn do something different. He's proven that he can do the ensemble.
How is this not different? It's an ensemble superhero.
Exactly.
Misfit characters.
A bunch of a-holes.
On adventures.
I think that this is this runs the risk of
he becomes typecast a little bit in a
not
way.
even that he becomes typecast, but that Suicide Squad is just going to feel like Guardians 3 or in some kind of capacity. Maybe the material is slightly different enough that it won't feel like that. But I mean, they were pretty similar in concept just to begin with, and now you got the same director. It raises some questions.
Yeah. Did you guys hear that they're, I don't know if this is bullshit. It might be one of those comicbook.com stories. Classic headline reading. I hear that our boy Keanu Reeves might be coming back as Constantine. Have you heard any murmurs about that?
No, I know he's interested.
And I know that they fucking he's flavor of the month, man. Everyone wants to get Keanu in there. I can definitely see, before the year's out or sometime soon, Keanu coming back, Constantine 2, yada yada yada.
Do you think they'd reboot or do you think they'd do sequel?
Dark Justice League. There's a lot that can be done. I mean, I think that Constantine works within the DCEU.
You could definitely.
You mean the existing DCEU?
Yeah, there's nothing to say.
Technically it doesn't, but I don't think the tone of Constantine is off. That you can't make that version of Constantine in that world work.
No, I don't think there's anything in there where you couldn't retrofit it.
Yeah.
Do you want to see that?
I'd love to see that. I really dig that first Constantine.
I feel
movie.
like
I no.
You don't want to see it?
Yeah, I would rather.
I would rather them keep burning down the DCEU. I feel like it's dying a very slow death, but it is dying. Don't taint Constantine.
It's not
That's
dying.
exactly what I'm thinking.
It's not
I don't want
Aquaman, baby.
It's dying.
Aquaman,
But it's dying. We have the biggest DC movie to come out in these 3 years is going to be Joker, which is not part of it.
Guys, I have 2 words for you. The Trench. 2021, baby.
Shit, I forgot about the Trench. I'm
Get
sorry.
ready. DCEU.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. DCEU.
Yeah, I'm very much with you, Ben. On if they're gonna bring him back as Constantine, bring it back as Constantine 2. I would rather them just shut the DCEU down and restart.
And you could very happily do a Justice League Dark movie with that version of Constantine that doesn't have to be connected to that shitty Superman or Batman or anything. I think that's interesting. I'd love to see Etrick and the Demon and Swamp Thing and shit.
And they're not concerned with continuity right now in the DCEU.
No,
so
which I'm into.
At all.
Let's do it.
Well, I would rather them do one or the other. Just do a spread of DC movies like they've always done, or do a shared universe. But I hate this
love
kind
this weird thing they're doing right now.
Mix and match.
You know the CW verse, The Flash and Supergirl and all those shows. They're coming up on an Infinite Crisis, kind of with 5 different shows connecting in these big finale. It's like a 5-hour movie essentially.
That sounds dope.
But they all interact already, right?
Sorry, all the shows do, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But there are theories that this event on TV could somehow do something with the continuity of the movies.
Okay.
Because Infinite Crisis is how traditionally in the comics they retcon the universes, the multiverse. So they could somehow, it's outlandish, but they could somehow, fix, I don't know, get all their ducks in a row.
It's not outlandish, it's fucking Warner Brothers, baby.
Yeah, nothing is outlandish. Again, the Trench.
Although this leads pretty nicely into the next story, right?
Absolutely, which is chapters 1 and 2 director Andy Muscietti offers an update on the Flash movie. He's got a quote here. What captivated me about The Flash is the human drama in it, the human feelings and emotions that play in the drama of it. It's going to be fun too, a beautiful human story. So basically, we're just getting confirmation that the Flash movie is apparently still on the way. Ironically, the slowest arriving film ever.
How many directors have been on this? I would love to see that list.
17, I think. I don't know. It is actually
just
ridiculous.
Bullet pointed out, and there's some real. The caliber is impressive.
It's more than the Gambit movie.
Insane.
Does it still have Old Mate in it? The guy that was in the
I believe so.
So yeah, apparently he's still attached. There was some talk a few months ago that he was writing a script with Grant Morrison because they were scrapping the other one that was being worked on by the Game Night guys.
At what point do you just kind of call it? Pull the pin. This is obviously.
We're talking about the DCEU
such a
here.
clusterfuck.
So they don't seem to have a bottom floor on that. I don't know. You guys don't want to see an Ezra Miller Flash movie, do you?
No.
I want to see an Ezra Miller Flash movie from Andy Muscietti.
Why are you trying to hurt us?
I really believe in Andy Muscietti, and I think that he can wrestle with out there ideas. It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2. There's some pretty out there stuff. I think he can make it work, and he has the humanity. We saw how well he's actually an actor's director. He directed the shit out of those kids in that first one. He wasn't just classic horror guy.
I'm sure that's how he wants to be known.
Sorry, don't misinterpret that.
What is your legacy? I directed the shit out of those kids.
Yeah. Fuck, I'm lost. That really nice, articulate thought is just gone now.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, I'm keen to see his shit, basically. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
My main point of interest in the film was that they were leaning towards a Flashpoint story, which I thought could be an interesting way for them to kind of fix the universe, potentially.
Is that just your kind of... That's what you're looking for in any of these films now? It's just like, how do we fix this?
Where is the
How can they fix this? Yeah, but no, because that is exactly what Flashpoint is. It's another universe redefining story, and I don't see any way they could have done Flashpoint without changing a lot of things. It would have been very convenient for them. But yeah, otherwise I've no interest in. I've happily watched an Andy Muscietti DC movie, but. Ezra Miller, I think it's time to move on. He was cast in 2014. He's been a supporting character in one movie.
Do you like Ezra Miller as an actor?
I did before The Flash. I really didn't like his Flash performance very much.
Yeah, I really like him. I think he's
I loved him in We Need to Talk About Kevin.
Yeah, no,
but I feel like he's I don't know, he's kind of a specific guy.
Yeah.
He's got his Ezra Miller-y thing that he does, and he stays within that lane. You like him?
I'm kind of on the fence with him.
Let's see how he goes in Flash.
Yeah,
find out next.
Because he feels very like. I think you put it very well. He's like he does his Ezra Miller thing, and you're like, okay.
He like stares at you weird, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
We need to talk about Ezra.
I felt that in my bones.
Don't worry about Ezra.
Next up, A24, our beloved, is developing a TV adaptation of Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea books.
A Wizard of Earthsea.
Yeah, put your hand up if you read any of the Earthsea books.
Read one of them.
You've read it as well.
I've read.
I didn't even ask you. I just assumed.
Of course.
I was shocked to find out that you could read.
No, but with the caveat, I read it. I must have been like 9 or something. I don't remember a single thing about it except a really beautiful, evocative cover.
Do you remember the little? I think was it that one that he had the little like rat thing that lived on his.
Don't remember anything about it except the dragon on the cover.
Anyway, I think it seemed like I enjoyed the book when I was a kid. I don't remember shit about it, but the best part about this is the A24.
Yeah,
coming into that fantasy realm. What can they do there? And a very popular series that has a diehard fan base.
And Le Guin is often cited at kind of being at that Tolkien level in terms of influence and regard.
This could be primed to be quite a up there with Game of Thrones.
That's what everyone's trying to do
right
now.
The Witcher coming. There's a lot of people getting into this fantasy thing. It's nice to see A24 wanting a piece of the pie.
Yeah. Those 3 or 1 letter and 2 numbers will make me sit up and pay attention every single time.
Yeah, man. Have you listened to the podcast?
Our podcast? No.
No, the A24 podcast.
No. What do they talk about? Do they get their directors on and stuff?
Yeah, you should listen to the one with the Lighthouse.
Oh, David Eggers
and Ari Aster.
Yeah,
where they talk about
I heard
like
about
they had a very specific amount of weird.
They were
talking, like it was just enough.
They were talking about Ingmar Bergman and how much they love
I'm
him,
out.
and they like really, they're like really good buddies. It's a good little convo. I think it's well worth a listen, especially how much you enjoyed Midsummer.
Well, check it out then. And enjoy is not the word for that film. Segueing from that, Amazon's Lord of the Rings series has cast Will Poulter in an undisclosed role.
William.
So the only reason that I wanted to have this in here is because I just want to hear everyone's take on who the hell he could possibly be playing, and it's got to be an elf, right?
He looks like an elf.
Yeah.
No.
They were just trying to like basically.
We had an answer.
This person was cast by a makeup department who's like, I can get that shit done in 20 minutes. Tops.
We had an answer. Not fucking elf. Young Gandalf. AKA
Gandalf was never young.
Gandalf. Gandalf. Yeah, sorry. Let's move on.
Genuinely, like a sliver of respect, just like like the leaf that falls off the tree in autumn. That kind of thing. That's what just happened. There's a little leaf of respect.
It's a dead tree now.
And then the rest of the leaves jumps off.
Absolutely.
As the resident Lord of the Rings man of the pod,
Yeah.
how are you feeling about this? Not Will Poulter, but the general Amazon Lord of the Rings.
No,
thing
Will
that's
Poulter.
cooking up.
Yeah. In terms of the casting thing, I remember watching first Lord of the Rings and being so bloody impressed with how few people I recognized. Viggo Mortensen was practically an unknown. Orlando Bloom was like straight out of acting school.
Clearly. Sorry?
Literally. Yeah, they plucked him straight out, and you can't even tell. John Rhys Davis had been in a bunch of things.
Looks exactly the same.
Yeah, is that what he looks like? That's actually how he walks around.
My axe.
I loved how many people they took a chance on. I hope they kind of go down the same route with this. That they start taking a couple of. This isn't like a great start.
This is their first strike, yeah.
Yeah.
Very recognizable actor.
Yeah. Which is what made me think about it.
What also about the idea that they're probably not going to shoot this in New Zealand?
Look, that doesn't really bother me.
Okay.
I mean, the landscape is somewhat iconic. Like you can get certain areas that are going to feel very much like Lord of the Rings there, but there's nothing that I can think of from movies that you probably couldn't find somewhere else. And if you think about the States or Canada or those areas, like whenever I go to New Zealand, I'm kind of very quickly reminded of how much I feel at home because it feels like the Rockies in Canada to me. You can pretty much find those landscapes anywhere else.
There you go, Kiwis. Not so special, are ya?
Burn.
That's not exactly what I was getting
I'm
at.
pretty sure their entire country's economy is based on we have Lord of the Rings here.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, fine anyway, don't worry.
No, I mean, like, it depends. If you're talking about the end product, then it's not going to make a difference. From a kind of
a mountain is a mountain.
Yeah,
There
I
we
mean, like,
have
it's
it.
you fucking. We all have mountains, New Zealand. Jesus. No, but I do like the association between New Zealand and Lord of the Rings. And I also like that they get a kick to the economy out of that. But in terms of end product, it's not going to break anyone.
And finally, HBO's Watchmen has been given a release date, October 20th. Not far off at all.
4 days after my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, George.
Thank you. It's been a good run.
I mean, that will be your happy birthday.
thank
I'm not
you.
saying it's
Thanks
way too
again.
early.
Thanks
it.
again for wishing me happy birthday.
How old will you be, George?
How old will I be? Fuck.
Officially decrepit.
Yes. I am so excited for this.
Mm-hmm.
Your birthday?
When will that? Yeah. How am I going to be able to consume this media? Will I have to get Foxtel now?
Yep.
No. Damn. I will not be. I will never purchase another thing of Foxtel.
Yeah.
You can get another free trial.
Yeah.
Can you?
I mean, if you get a new email address, another credit card.
Sure. Good point.
George 87. I mean, I guess it was primed to come out about now, and it's kind of crazy that it's September in 2019. It's like, Jesus, this year's disappearing. But end of the year, October, it all fits.
I weirdly don't feel as hyped as I feel like I should feel.
It's been the trailers have not been flashy or anything.
Yeah.
They haven't really revealed a lot. It's been quite more tonal, I guess.
Yeah. It makes me slightly worried about the pacing of the film or of the series.
Yeah, I mean, let's see
I
how
have
we
a
go.
feeling that I might get like 3 or 4 episodes in and feel like, oh my goodness, all right, we need to get to like something.
And this is going to be HBO's 1 per week model.
Yeah.
So strap yourselves in the rest of 2019.
Just watch it when it's all out.
George and Connor, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What time is it?
It's trailer time.
Trailer time.
I'm never asking Connor again. Wow.
All right. So
You do
first of all, we have a trailer for the greatest film ever put on a screen, The Joker.
Oh, yes.
Incel, the movie.
Yeah, I heard, Connor, this was the most evil and dangerous film ever put on a screen.
Oh, well, I mean that too.
Oh.
This
Bloodthirsty.
movie is a masterpiece. I
Apparently.
love it.
Yeah.
No, I was really weirded out by this trailer. I've had very mixed feelings for this film right from the get-go, for a number of different reasons. But one of the things that really, there's a couple of things. The 2 main questions that really struck me when I watched this trailer, and I've just been thinking about them over and over and over again. And
It's driving you mad.
it's driving me mad.
It's getting
It's
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
like he's back.
With his phone.
Yeah. One was, what does this being a Joker film add to this film? other than, recognizable IP? Does it being a Joker film actually mean anything?
Let's see about the end products, but that is a very valid thing. And is he? And what I've heard is what's the director?
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips has pretty much outrightly said, I put in the Joker to leverage the IP to get this shit done. Because if I come to Warner Brothers and go, hey, here's a gangster movie about this guy who goes crazy.
He doesn't get the marketing. He doesn't get the money.
We've seen it before.
Everyone involved with this movie has expressed to some degree comic books are for kids, then they suck.
Yeah. And that to me actually devalues this movie because I think that there's something to intent. And if he came at this with the thought process of, I'm going to start with the Joker and I'm going to try and do something different or new or inventive, that I can kind of see, there being some validity to. But if he's just slapping a sticker on top of a movie, it doesn't really matter. Like, that movie might be great, but just slapping the IP over that with no actual regard for how that interacts with the original IP, to me, devalues that movie as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how the final product turns out.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going off the trailer, but this is what I was thinking when I was watching it. And the second question is very similar, which is how far can you depart from an original IP before it becomes irrelevant to still maintain that IP?
I love it when iterations add something new and radical to a character and can redefine them, like Tom Hardy's Bane. Isn't Gamora completely different? And now they've introduced Zoe Saldana's. You can get reinventions and reappropriations. Like the thing.
But my question is how far? Like, at what point? So this, with the Joker film,
I don't think
it's a nihilistic clown. Is that all that is required for it really to be the Joker?
I mean, I'm not.
What more would you want?
Well versed enough in Joker folklore to know what constitutes and what doesn't constitute.
For me, I don't know. I think the nihilism is only half of what makes the Joker. Like the whole point about the Joker within the Batman universe is that he has the Batman to play off of, right? And that to me is
two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. And if it's just a nihilistic clown, is that relevant enough to the original IP to really, again, say that this is the Joker? And that I've been really weirded out by that, and I think it's this movie brings it out specifically because of my first point, which is that it feels like a nihilistic gangster movie with the Joker slapped on top.
And is he a villain or is he an anti-hero in this? Where are they positioning the Joker?
Yeah, because this movie looks like it has a lot to say, and it looks like it's going to say it very bluntly. Where is it going to land on this character? Given how positive the reviews have been, I don't think it's going to be surely it's going to be more satirical than it looks. It doesn't look like it doesn't feel like it's going to just be as sympathetic towards this Arthur Fleck as the trailers kind of come across.
I hope not.
I hope not.
Because it kind of makes me feel a little unwell.
Yeah, I mean, given, recent kind of public events and continual ongoing events, do we need this kind of hero in the world? That being said, I think this trailer is terrific. I think it is absolutely outstanding.
Really good.
It's shot beautifully.
It took us a while to get to the point where we're like, oh yeah, the trailer's actually really good.
Coming out in 70mm as well. I think that's a really interesting release strategy. And I think from what it looks like, this is a very well shot film.
Yeah.
Purely on just visuals and image, looks absolutely
and Joaquin
beautiful.
Phoenix looks fucking... I mean, he's always really good, and he always gets into these characters. But I just think in this, he really embodies
very
that.
dedicated.
And as to the IP thing, I like how with comics you can remix these characters kind of endlessly and change anything about them. There's been so many different versions of the Joker, and I think so many compelling different versions of the Joker. And I'm always willing to kind of incorporate another one into the oeuvre. But you do make a good point, Connor. Because a big reaction I did have to all of these trailers is without the Batman there to present an opposing viewpoint, is it going to be as compelling as we've seen before? Like the Joker playing against Christian Bale's Batman in The Dark Knight. Is there any way they could possibly live up to that?
Hopefully they allude to it or do something in there. Because it is true. Like when you say it, when you put it that way, it's like, is it just a crazy clown? Is that what it constitutes to be a Joker? The Joker?
Is it just a juggalo?
Oh, insane clown
That's
posse.
scary.
Mike, you're not far off. All right, well, let's move on to potentially the second biggest trailer of this week, which was Terminator Dark Fate.
Why did they not release this first up? I feel like this is the best trailer they've done for this one.
I thought the cover of Bjork's Hunter
was
Hunter
cool.
was much cooler.
That teaser.
Yeah.
That was only about a minute
song
long.
was
Yeah.
so good. The rest of it.
I'm weirdly fascinated by this, but also like disinterested at the same time.
The action looks polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a Terminator sequel after T2 that doesn't look like dog shit. So that's pretty interesting.
Mhm.
But this
But
trailer
the
felt
dog shit ones have
Hey.
made me disinterested
Hey,
in this.
you leave Salvation alone, motherfucker.
I like Salvation.
I actually really like
This,
Salvation. I actually kind of like Salvation, not really like.
Yeah, I was like,
Let
that's
me
a very strong.
let me retract that.
this trailer it seems like it has a lot of the movie in it as well.
Mhm.
I'm kind of excited for this.
I'm keen.
I was kind of like I'm kind of ready for an adrenaline fueled, Terminator movie.
I love the look of Gabriel Luna's new Terminator.
Yeah.
I think Tim Miller's got a good handle on the material and what needs to stay the same.
Linda Hamilton is great. This is
This is cooking
much more
up,
focused on her than
This is cooking up to be solid. Could be the third best Terminator film.
Yep. It will be. It already is, I think.
Yeah. By default.
It definitely can't be as bad as Genesis. So it's definitely got sixth spot or however many there are now.
Just give it a chance. I know that Salvation is obviously your favorite movie ever, and
It is.
it's never going to top that. But it's still might beat out number 2. You never know.
T2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how your ranking goes. Salvation 1, 2.
Yeah, no, I can't really believe I'm getting excited for Dark Fate, but I know like a lot of the stuff that's happened and that it's in the script that's leaked. I won't mention it on this podcast, but so I don't think there's going to be that much that surprises me, but potentially the presentation that Tim Miller brings forward is going to be
Like Ben said, it looks polished.
I don't think I said that, but I think a lot of this
said
trailer
that.
I
You said that?
terrific. I think you've done it twice on this.
In that case, I disagree.
looks
This movie
fun.
looks like dog shit.
I think a lot of this trailer looks good. And then we get to the plane crash at the end and I kind of glaze over. I'm like,
Yeah.
how many times have we seen
When it
this?
gets too CGI
Yeah,
craziness.
so, alright, cool. But then Arnie blows the guy's face off and I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was like, damn. Let's go.
All right, number 3, we have Bad Boys for Life,
Mm.
the sequel that somebody wanted. Have you guys watched Bad Boys?
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I think we found him.
I love Bad Boys 1 and 2. Like, I have a real soft spot for them, and I am kind of mega excited for this. And I thought this trailer was exactly what you want from a Bad Boys movie.
Yeah.
And they fully got the Michael Bay look. You know, the first shot where it's coming around Will Smith coming out of the car.
Yeah.
You know, like they fucking nailed it. It had that like Miami, Florida, wide angle, low looking up, glistening car thing. They completely got the aesthetic right.
So who's directing this? Not Michael Bay.
Mike. Let's have a look.
Just George at a loss.
And
I
with
don't
the
know.
power
I don't have all
of
the-
with the power of the internet.
I don't
Power
have all
of
the
George's
answers,
internet.
Ben.
I know Joe Carnahan was going to at one stage.
Because I had a feeling Bay wasn't directing it. And just watching that first shot, I was thinking, wow, they've really imitated his look.
I haven't heard of these guys before. Belgian directors Ali El Arbi and Bilal Fallah.
They done anything of note?
They don't do anything at all.
They've done
It's a small looking Wikipedia page.
They're television directors. Yeah, so you can go find out for yourselves with the power of the internet.
I can't say I'd be too interested in a Michael Bay movie not directed by Michael Bay because I find him kind of fascinating.
He's yeah.
In all of his excessive, disgusting, beautiful ways.
No, these guys riff off each other well. If you're a fan of these guys on screen, they do.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the directors.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
like,
like,
Sorry.
you really read that Wikipedia page fast.
Sorry. I should have contextualized that. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith on screen.
okay, yeah.
Those guys Sorry, I should have contextualized that.
I was so
Those
weirded
guys
out
on
there
screen.
for a second.
I was like, oh my God, I'm in the simulation.
It was really
Oh.
funny watching them first get together in this trailer because neither of them have aged at all, but Martin Lawrence is very fat.
Yeah.
I reckon Will Smith's got a bit of a, chin.
He's looking good, man. He's the
looking
Gemini
pretty,
man.
pretty
He's
tight.
kept in shape. I think I've seen the first one, maybe. That's it.
You're missing out, man.
Nope.
Missing out.
These are very long
they are
movies.
kind of the quintessential buddy cop movie of the 90s.
90s,
Yeah.
late 90s.
Stick with Lethal Weapon.
Number 4, we have Jojo Rabbit.
Much
Which-
better trailer.
Yeah, which sheds some light on what the fuck is actually going on.
Yes, I would like as soon as it revealed that everyone was like Nazis. I'm like, I had no idea from that last trailer. I thought they were just at a summer camp.
This looks,
You guys think this is a better trailer?
It's a much better trailer. Yeah.
Huh.
yeah.
I wonder if it's just I'm not that interested in the concept that my interest in this film has kind of gone down a little bit after this trailer. I don't know. I don't know what this film is trying to say. And obviously you got to see the film to find out. But
It feels very whimsical, doesn't it?
I'm like, I've got this sort of, I go through cycles of fascination through World War II throughout my life. And I've been to, Berlin. I'm really fascinated with that period of time. And the lead up to World War II, I don't know,
I'm anticipating, and correct me if I'm
know.
wrong. I'm thinking this might be anti-Nazi.
Oh,
It's a good guess.
Bold
it
stance.
wasn't pro, but they were all speaking
I-
in German
but-
accents.
I don't think it's.
But
yeah,
the
I'm not
Polynesian
entirely
Jew
sure.
that directed it might, really surprise us.
Yeah, who can say? Satire is tough.
Yeah. This does feel at risk of being like Taika Waititi being, I'm still that whimsical, crazy guy that you love from those earlier films
Like
that
it
I
turned
did.
up to 11.
Yeah. Which, I hope he's not trying to push that too much. Out of the Shadows, I thought was such a genuine kind of film.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Out of the Shadows.
Yeah. What am I trying to say? Not Out of the
What We Do
Shadows.
in the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows, sorry. But also Out of the Shadows. Love that film.
That movie
deep
Shadow.
callback.
Yeah. what we Do in the Shadows. Yeah. It was just this kind of like really, it didn't feel overly whimsical. It just kind of felt like that goofy amount. Like, that's probably all he could have afforded in terms of making this thing.
Looks like he's got just a little too much cash.
Yeah.
Like,
But he's
just
trying to make
wind
it feel.
back. Wind it back to Will the People level.
But it's not even like that he's using all that cash. It looks like a film that is like, I've got the cash, but I want to make it look like I don't.
yeah, it's got that sort of Playhouse,
Yeah.
Wes Anderson vibe.
Yeah. Which, that's a fine line to walk. So I hope that he pulls it off.
Fingers crossed.
But there's some little red flags.
Pulling off some Hitler. That's all we can hope
That's
for.
unfortunate. Did you guys watch that? What was that, like Hitler in current day? Like I think it was like a Netflix show or something like that. Did you guys see that?
I think I've heard of this.
Yeah. Did either of you check that out? Because
No.
that seems super weird to me. Like that was something I wasn't sure. Like, is he meant to be goofy now? Or-
Mhm.
Anyways. Next we have Between Two Ferns, the movie.
I'm so on board for this.
Do you guys watch Between Two Ferns back in the day?
Right.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that's got to be like 10 years ago, right? Surely.
I'm like, what happened to Zach Galifianakis?
Yeah,
I was watching this and I was
fucking
like, that guy was huge at one stage.
Sitting on that hangover money.
Yeah.
Hope so. I hope he made some investments.
I loved Between Two Ferns. I'm not 100% sold on the concept of a movie. I would have loved this to come back as like a Netflix series or something like that. Movie, that just feels
I'm
weird.
not on board, man.
I'm all about it. I was getting serious Borat vibes from this, and that is to this day the hardest I've ever laughed in a cinema. Laughed and cried. And I feel like this looks like that exact kind of stupid.
really? Because it felt like there was a bit too much of this movie that was going to be scripted, and then all I was thinking was due date.
Yeah.
No one's ever thought of Due Date since Due Date came out.
I really want to
Yeah,
watch Due Date now.
From that, yeah.
Take me back to 2008, baby.
Well, I'm just thinking about like that
Simpler
Galifianakis.
Yeah, when Robert
you know.
Downey Jr. did non-Marvel movies.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like Galifianakis post Hangover. That's what comes to mind.
I don't know. This just looks like a bunch of episodes of Between Two Ferns with a little narrative around it.
Yeah,
so
I hope that
I'm
it
all about it.
focuses really heavily on the episodes as opposed to like the stuff around that. And they got some serious cameos in that, which I'm kind of excited for.
Yeah, that cast list was nuts.
Cumberbatch.
Benedict.
Let's move on. We've got First Love.
Directed by Takashi Miike, the master of horror. Now, I chucked this in here based on his name alone.
I figured, yeah.
Yeah, my first exposure to him was, so there was, in the mid-2000s, there was this horror anthology series called Masters of Horror, where basically they got famous horror directors to come in
Is
direct
that the one on the boat?
one random episode each. Let me finish, Georgie.
Sorry.
That's all right. And Takashi Miike's episode was actually banned from being shown in America. So they were not allowed to release it. So he cut it into a feature film and released it on DVD, I believe, and through festivals. But yeah, apparently it was so graphic that they couldn't release it in the already R-rated Masters of Horror series. And this is basically how this guy is known, as being one of the big envelope pushers, just some of the most fucked up shit that's ever been put on screen. I admittedly have not watched anything of his because I'm too scared to. Because he's in that kind of Martyrs level of filmmaking, I think. The real unfortunate
nihilistic stuff.
Yeah. And then I watched the trailer for this and I'm like, oh, this looks like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels in Japan.
It does.
It looks like so much fun.
Looks
That's the
really
vibe I
nicely
got.
shot. This looks fantastic.
Yeah.
He
I
is
didn't
prolific as fuck. Oh my god.
I found it like quite a strange trailer. I didn't quite get it, but I like, in terms of the aesthetics of the film, I'm really on board.
And being a Miike film, there's probably some stuff they can't put in
100%.
a general release trailer as well. But yeah, I think this looks really fun.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm
Are you going to
pumped.
watch it?
If I can, yeah. I don't know what the release would be like. We don't get many Japanese films over here.
Cool. We've got next Gretel and Hansel.
Trailer of the week for me.
Yep, I knew you. I absolutely knew.
Really?
I got halfway through this trailer, turned it off because I thought it looked so good. And I'm like, this is George's favorite trailer of the week.
Yeah. That's it, baby. Like,
Okay,
It's so weird. I'm kind of lackluster on this.
The
Really?
Blackcoats. I'm biased. The Blackcoat's Daughter, a 2015 film. I think it was known as February in other parts of the world. Absolutely one of my favorite films of the decade. And this looked so.
What's that? The Blackcoat's
Daughter, starring Kiernan Shipka, the new Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It blew me away. He also directed I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which I have not watched yet, but amazing title. So I'm so keen for this.
Dude, like this looks like a combination of like The Witch, but more of a fantastical Guillermo del Toro vibe, but without that really whimsical. It seems dark.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's going to have a happy ending.
Yeah.
The look of it, I just thought that the trailer was cut in a weird way. Like it didn't really flow for me.
Okay.
The trailer itself.
I think that could be the film itself because he has a really unsettling way of putting these movies together.
Yeah.
The wide-angle lenses he's using here gives this film this really open, almost fisheye look in some spots.
Yeah.
It's very, very distinct, and I am hungry, man.
Maybe that's what was kind of off. There was something about this trailer that was putting me a little bit off. I think part of it was the way that it was cut, but also it just didn't feel quite claustrophobic enough. Like that's kind of when I think
open,
about, yeah, and that's when I think about that kind of genre of horror. I feel like as though it should be more claustrophobic.
Have you guys seen Hansel and Gretel starring Jeremy Renner?
No, I haven't, and I have not thought about that probably since it came out.
When did that come out? Was that like 2015 or something?
Something like that. I watched it. It was fine.
Did you actually watch it?
Actually, yeah. It has one of the most amazing, like animatronic puppet suits I've ever seen in a film.
Okay.
I highly recommend watching the little short about that, if nothing else.
Wait a minute, have I seen that?
It's one of those movies, yeah. So, Georgie, just quickly, my second recommendation of the week, The Blackcoat's Daughter. I would love to know what you think of that movie.
Cool.
I think it's probably a very divisive one, very slow, very disturbing. One of my favorite movies.
Supernatural psychological thriller. Emma Roberts. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So cool.
Nice one. Grand finale in the trailers of the week.
Excellent. So we've got The Laundromat.
Which one was
Yes,
this
Steve
one?
Soderbergh.
Yeah.
Still retired, I guess.
I think I must have. He's just sneaking
Antonio
movies out there.
Banderas and Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
Yes.
As the lawyers, the evil lawyers that
handle
keep rich
offshore
people
accounts for
rich.
millionaires, based on some true shit, apparently.
It did have that sort of informant.
Yeah.
vibe, which I love. So I'm down.
I think this looks outstanding. I love Steve Soderbergh. I didn't watch his last one for Netflix, so I'm so glad that he's not actually retired.
I'm sick of Americans doing these shitty German accents. Like in Jojo Rabbit and this. I'm like, come on, guys. Come on, tune it up
I thought
a little
Gary
bit.
Oldman was great.
Yeah.
He's like the master of accents.
Also, Taika Waititi is not American.
He is...
Is Gary
he's
Oldman
from the,
American? I thought he was British.
AKA American.
I don't think anything that you just said was correct, actually, the more I think
Everything
about it.
you just said was a lie.
Yeah.
Anyone from Australia and NZ basically is an honorary American. But
I'm with you, Soderbergh. You
I love Soderbergh.
He is all over the map. In terms of, some of his films are dog shit. Some of his films are really great. But I just love how consistently he puts shit out.
and just
Again, despite being retired.
everything he makes, except for those bloody ocean sequels, is so different to everything else he's made.
Mhm.
Like you can always tell it's a Soderbergh film, but his subject matter is also so different.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Let's cap it off with question of the week from
Let's do
our
it.
boy, Jake Travekis. I got another question. What's the most disappointing movie you've ever seen? E.g., Matrix Revolutions, Last Jedi, Indiana Jones 4, Hobbit. So, I mean, let's just go off those four quickly before we go into our own picks. Did you guys find Matrix Revolutions disappointing?
No.
I came to it very late after the backlash, so no.
Yeah, I remember
And
being very weirded out because I was only about 13 or 14 when that came out, but feeling like that really wasn't as good as the other two.
I was kind of with you, but I was 13, 14,
I
just
think I
like
watched
you.
it on
It was,
VHS.
it's more like, guns and, there was some action in there. And I was kind of like, all right, well, I'm good.
Last Jedi we were all fine with.
Yeah,
I
we quite
was
liked
blown away at the
Last-
time.
Last
Uh,
Jedi.
Indiana Jones 4.
I don't think I really expected much.
Didn't give a shit about that franchise. I thought it was as good as all the others.
All right, that's fucking insulting. Like
Yeah.
that's bizarre.
To this day, that's a franchise I'm just not into at all.
Yeah, me too.
Unfortunately.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm a big Spielberg guy too.
I really enjoy the first three. I think there's this kind of undeniable charm about them.
I love the first one. I really didn't like the second one.
When did
then
you
the
watch
third
it
one,
last?
I was like 5 years ago.
The second
Okay,
one was
really?
the one everyone hated until the fourth one came out. So maybe that was their mission statement
Yeah,
with
that's
that
it.
movie.
And then The Hobbit. Oh, we all found that massively disappointing.
Yeah, each one more so than the last somehow. My
I didn't
expectations
even-
could not get lower.
I didn't even go back to the last one, and then I was at my parents' place, and just a scene happened to come on. I couldn't believe the primitive quality of the green screen composite in this
shockingly
film.
bad.
I was like, this is worse than the content you were putting out in 2003, Peter Jackson.
I actually was, I think, quite disappointed by the second one from memory, The Desolation of Smaug.
Because that was the one where everyone was like, oh, they've actually got it right.
Yeah, they fixed it. The last one was a blip, but they're back on track. And I watched it, I'm like, this one was worse.
Yeah, and they're like,
Well, that's got the one with the barrel riding scene,
Yeah,
which
and the
is
fishing-
just.
And they're just punching on in that fishing village for about 30 minutes. And I'm kind of going, please end it.
I thought Stephen Fry would save that series.
No, that was a massive disappointment.
And this is probably a good time to highlight, don't bother watching the Hobbit stuff. Watch Lindsay Ellis's
Documentary
documentary
series,
that
yeah, on YouTube.
you both or one of you got me into. And it was just fantastic. Really, really well put together.
She does really good. She does really good stuff.
Let's talk about
Anything else?
our most disappointing movie ever.
I don't know why. I think it might have been just because I was reading that and I saw Hobbit and that. I don't know if either of you read the Aragon series.
Aragon,
Aragon
yeah.
series.
Aragon.
It is Aragon?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I was really into those books when I was a kid, and when they brought out a film, I was like fucking hectic. Like, I get to see on the screen what I've been imagining, and that movie was a massive disappointment.
I heard that. That's why I never saw it. Do you think there's any chance whatsoever that Aragon wasn't a typo?
It was
Him
written
trying to
by
write
like
Dragon.
a 14-year-old.
yeah,
so
yeah. I remember that kind of narrative.
it's entirely
behind it.
possible. That I mean, the more I think about that series, and I kind of recognized it when I was reading it, but more so the more I look back at it, that was just a kid that had watched Lord of the Rings, and there was another book series that I really loved as a kid, which was this. It's basically about dragons in space.
Okay.
Right?
But it's called Space Dragons.
It was he took the world of Lord of the Rings and he took the mechanics from this space dragon thing in terms of how he connects with the dragon, and he just mixed them together and changed some names. That's basically all he did.
He's a smart motherfucker.
And they ruined it with the movie.
Yeah, which I mean, like, he took two really good things and it made a good thing, predictably. But that movie was just
that was horrible, wasn't
shockingly bad.
I'm going to watch the trailer when I get home because I feel like it's probably aged very poorly.
Oh my goodness, it probably has. I
Horrible.
have not watched it since I watched
2006 at its prime.
Also, I want to watch Rain of Fire again. I feel like that movie's probably underrated.
It's something.
What do you pick?
So I'm going to have to go with the first movie that I feel ever disappointed me, which was X-Men 3, The Last Stand, which I maintain is not as bad as people insist. But after the height of X2, which was a movie that came at the perfect time for my kind of film watching, I was obsessed with that film. And I remember watching the third one just being like, I didn't like that as much. And it was a real bummer.
It was kind of hard to know at that time as well without the sort of the incredible wealth of cinematic language I possess now.
Of course.
Lol. But you couldn't really, why was that not as good as X2?
Mm.
It was sort of like,
Yeah.
I don't know that, and you couldn't. Yeah, it was an interesting experience, that one. Same with Spider-Man 3. Felt that was one where it was like one of the first times I got really disappointed by a film, but didn't quite know what was. That disappointed me.
Yeah.
Did you have another one?
My pick was Dragon Ball.
Wow.
2009's Dragon Ball.
I was going through a list of disappointing movies researching this question, and that was one of the ones on there. I'm like, I remember watching that and not being disappointed at all because it was
really
probably shitter than I could have possibly expected, but still I was like, yeah, whatever.
It's I mean, it falls into it's so bad it's good territory that
it never stood a chance.
But you can make it work.
I honestly think I'm not sure about that.
A live action Dragon Ball Z.
I think you can make it work, bro. It needs to be manhandled though. Like you got to get a Denny Villeneuve.
The Japanese film industry maybe could do something, but otherwise I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think you can.
Because I was watching scenes from the live action of what was the Titan one?
Look at Broly.
Attack on Titan, and it just didn't look right.
Live action.
Look at Broly, like
not live action.
Like you can make it like you can bring a Lord of the Rings level of sophistication to the lore and the planets.
Ben, was
the
Broly
same
live action?
It was not live action.
It was not live action, was it? Okay, I just wanted to check. Continue, George.
Yeah, I'm not sure it would translate.
I think you can make it happen, man. Like as I said, you got to wrestle with it. It's like it's
you
a beast.
You'd have to change it. You'd have to change
You're
it.
in the Colosseum, man. It's got to be tamed.
Why are you using a different animated Dragon Ball Z property to prove that you could take the original animated?
I just loved the level of depth that they brought to the world.
It was a lot more narrative
piece.
based than a lot of other Dragon Ball Z movies, which are there's an inciting incident and there's a fight.
I just
for an
seeing
hour.
like the same planet and just kind of seeing the day to day. But I think the original was horrible.
Absolutely,
2009 was horrible.
Yes,
I remember watching that in the cinemas and just being.
Did you see it in the cinema, George?
Yep.
How have all three of us seen that in a cinema?
Do you remember the bit where he's jumping on the lava?
That is literally
It's
what I was about
burnt into
to
my
say.
mind.
There are two early cinema experiences that I had at the Ritz, which is where we all used to work, and they are The Happening and
The Happening
and Dragon Ball Z. Both, I think, just before I started working there. And they were both like some of the worst films I had ever seen.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let us know in the comments what are your most disappointing movies, and we love
You've
hearing
just
from
turned
you
the comment
guys.
section to a Last Jedi debate.
Yeah, let us know.
Give us some other examples, please.
Yeah. If it's Last Jedi, we're done.
Yeah,
We get it.
that's null and void. You have to if you submit Last Jedi, you have to submit a second entry. Otherwise, we're
Just
done with you.
Don't submit the first one,
We're
please.
done with you.
Yeah, that's it.
Hit us up with a question for next week's episode, and don't forget to check out our It Chapter 2 review, and we'll be back next week. The boy Connor,
Bye.
the Benny,
They are.
farewell.